Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, hosted by Aaron Locks and sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. Join us live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Aaron sits down with coaches, recreation professionals, and industry leaders to discuss youth sports, athlete development, coaching excellence, and the positive impact sports have on young people and communities. Tune in for expert insights, inspiring stories, and practical strategies to help young athletes succeed. In this episode, we explore how youth sports can build confidence, teamwork, and a love for the game.
Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Youth Sports Mastery Show. I'm your host, Aaron Locks, and once again, I'm a little excited and fired up, but it's not that hard to get me fired up. But today, especially, because I've got a wonderful guest, and we're going to dive in, really interesting, because we're going to dive from the top down, talking about everything from CPRS and management of how does Parks and Rec kind of funnel down, especially in the youth sports space, of course, but also that my guest has been a coach and he's got kids. And so we're going to be able to kind of line all this up. You know, right now, youth sports is kind of at a crossroads. And especially if you've got kids that are younger and you're thinking, what am I going to do with them this summer? I just want to give you a little bit of a taste on this. What studies are showing right now is it's really vital. If you've got a youngster, and don't get me wrong, I know that math and science are important. I know maybe an art class is great. Don't get me wrong, I love those music, summer camps. Please do those. But here's the deal. If you can get your child up and out of the house early and get them to a sports camp in June, summer gets out and you get them going, they're going to be not sitting in the classroom, which they just did for 9 months. They're going to be moving their bodies. They're going to engage their bodies like an all-terrain vehicle, having a blast, engaging their mind, and it's going to start their summer in an active manner. What I did with my kids when they were younger is I always try to get them their first camp in an outdoor sports camp particularly, but even whatever it is, get them out, actively engaged, get them used to getting up early, just like routine, because I'm telling you right now, you let them sleep in the first week or two or whatever, and then you try to wrangle them in to dive in, that can be a problem out there. So as we prepare ourselves as parents for summer, and a lot of you, I know I'm going to be going to some trainings coming up with some different organizations about getting ready to prepare yourself for summer. So we'll have some tips on that for you, those of you that are running programs for kids that are getting ready for your summer stuff. We're going to talk about coaching, umpiring, a lot of different things, youth sports as always we do. So let's go ahead. If you guys want to run those, we'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Come back the other side and we'll dive in with our special guest, Adam Chow. See you in a minute.
It didn't start with a big studio. It didn't start with a massive audience. It started with a simple idea. One conversation, one camera, one episode. Back then, DPRS Media Network was just a vision. No guarantees, no roadmap, just a purpose. To tell stories that mattered. Stories from the parks and recreation community. Stories of leadership, passion, impact, and the people making a difference every single day. Episode by episode, that vision began to grow. More conversations, more voices, more people who believed in what we were building. What started as a show became something much bigger. A place where people felt seen, a place where ideas were shared, a place where the Parks and Rec community could connect, learn, and inspire one another. And today, we celebrate a major milestone. 500 episodes, 500 stories, 500 moments, 500 reasons to keep moving forward. But this is not the finish line. This is the beginning of our next chapter. In the months ahead and in the years to come, DPRS Media Network is growing into something even greater. We are building something truly special for the parks and recreation community. Something designed to bring people closer, to create stronger connections, to open new opportunities, and to continue serving the people who inspire everything we do. We are also expanding our reach through new partnerships, working with organizations who believe in our mission, partners who share our vision for community, leadership, and impact. And beyond the screen, we're showing up in more places than ever before, attending conferences, meeting leaders face-to-face, building connections that strengthen our community. Because DPRS has never been just about content. It has always been about connection. To everyone who has been with us, from episode 1 to episode 500, thank you. This milestone belongs to all of you. Here's to how it all started. And here's to everything still to come. The future of DPRS Media Network starts now.
Welcome back, everybody. And Adam, I'm so grateful for you to be able to spend some time with us. I know that we've known each other for a little bit. We probably should tell everybody the story so they understand the nepotism of what's going on around here. But welcome to the show. So Adam and I met about, 2014, I think it was, in the youth sports space. You were with the city of San Ramon. And boy, we've seen a lot of changes that have kind of come down the pipeline through everything that we've been through, from coming through the economic side of things, the pandemic side of things, and all the different changes going forward, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 2014 to 2026, I mean, that's, only 12 years, but times change, and, how youth sports progresses and changes. I mean, pandemic in there. And so, but absolutely one of the places I have a strong spot in my heart for.
Yeah, I love it. I love the fact that you have been, an athlete, you've coached, you've got kids that play, you're umpiring, all these areas. So it's going to be a really fun scope of conversation here, which I'm really excited about. But let's just do this. I always like to start with first, which is like, what was young Adam like? Where did young Adam grow up? And what were you like? And was sports a part of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So young Adam was born and raised in San Ramon. I am fortunate to still work for the same agency in the same community that I was born in, that I was raised in, that I grew up in. The same sports fields that I played on, my kids have been able to play on as well. So, I was fortunate to be able to be working in the same community that I grew up in. But I played soccer for a long time, I did swimming, tennis, golf. Those were the main things that I did when I was a kid, but it was a lot of soccer. I did a little bit of baseball as well. And there's a whole story in that for 2 years of baseball that I did as a kid. So, a lot of sports, having a lot of fun, but it was all recreational. None of it was really competitive, high level. I never played sports in high school. Something that I kind of wish I had done, but that's a whole different story for another day, maybe, or for later, who knows?
Yeah, but I love the fact that that the thread of you playing sports and playing multiple sports and coming through the rec system. I tell everybody I'm a rec kid, you know what I mean, and I'm a rec professional. Now, some people look at National Cab Athletics as we're more of a community partnership, and we work together because we've all got the same goals. But it all starts with the same thing. So when young Adam was coming up, how did you go from playing rec sports to working as a Parks and Rec professional? I mean, did you start umpiring games? Did you start coaching? Did you start sweeping floors? Like, where did you start in the rec space?
Yeah, actually. So it's really interesting. My youth sports background helped when I got my first summer camp job. So my first summer camp job was in the town of Danville. I was, I don't want to say like 19, 20 years old. But it's that camaraderie. It's that space where you're like, we're all part of a team and we all want to, have a specific goal to be able to accomplish. So I remember going out to Danville Day Camp and working out there with all those kids, with the sports activities we did, all the arts and crafts and stuff that we did. But that kind of drew me into a park and rec, world, and allowed me to learn and grow and have other positions. And eventually, kind of led me back into this field full time to do a number of things. So I actually started in doing teens, moved into youth and sports and camp and summer camps, and did that for a long time, and allowed me to do a number of a lot of learning opportunities as well. So
one thing I love about, and I say this, it's interesting because I think I say this almost every show. I love rec professionals. I love what other industry can you work your way through and literally go from one city to another and have a similar journey, obviously different people, you know what I mean? But that's what's so amazing to me. And I guess I'm starting doing this in 1983, working with Thousand Oaks, down there and running basketball camps, just remembering this journey. And it's pretty amazing. And I can see why it's easy to get sucked in, you know what I mean? Because it's like you're doing something that you enjoy doing, not all the time, let's be honest, in service of your community, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's one of the great things about what we get to do and all the people that we get to work with. So, young Adam, as he was growing up, he had I had supervisors and mentors and people who taught me. And I think that's part of what's ingrained in what we do, right? Yeah. Coaching, spans every single position in Parks and Rec. We're all coaches at heart. And I think that's one of the really coolest things is, we take sports and youth sports and, what our experience has been, and then we go to that next level. If you use that analogy, in a full-time role, like I'm the coach and my staff are my team, right? They're my players and they're the ones who are out there doing the work, and I'm behind the scenes and trying to help them out and guide them and coach them. And we go to practice and we talk about things and we reflect. And, I think that's part of the reason why there's a lot of people who, do what we do, is because we are part of that team on a day-to-day basis.
Well, and I don't want to talk too much and dive into this bigger, but CPRS, obviously, right? I mean, let's be honest. What CPRS does really well is connect. Like we were just down at conference and it was called Connections, right? Mm-hmm. And, I was able to speak, and every session I gave, the first thing I did was I said, well, before we even dive into the topic, I want you to spend 3 to 4 minutes and get to meet your village. Because all those people so well that someone's sitting there at the city of San Ramon and somebody's the city of Oakland and somebody's the city of San Francisco or wherever they're from, they connect, and eventually there's that thread as they move forward, right?
Oh, absolutely. And those connections are so important. Like, we have questions about anything, whether it is sports field allocations, whether it is, what requirements do you have for your volunteer coaches? Like, what are those things, those handbooks that you have for your volunteers? Like, what are those things that you do in your agency that can be shared with anybody? Like, that is probably one of the greatest things about our industry is the networking. Be able to ask the question, have the opportunity for somebody who is more than willing to share in a non-competitive way. Like, here's our secret sauce. Like, here's what we do really well. And so you go do it. Have fun. Make your program better. I love it.
The crazy part about it, and I've got a competitive background, but I love the fact, like, that's why I go and I get asked. I mean, I think I'm coming to speak in San Ramon in a couple of weeks at an event. I don't know, but
the Summer Leadership Institute.
Yeah. And again, leadership. I'm just a dumb jock, but I'm going to talk about leadership. You know what I mean? But again, what is really cool is that thread, and it transcends everything. That's the cool part, right? And again, it does go back to little, your sports and leadership. So when did again, going back to young Adam? I know for me, Stuart Kessler was with the city of Mill Valley when I was in high school. And he asked me to come over and coach the after-school middle school team when I was 16. So I coached the basketball team for the 7th or 8th graders when I was 16. And that was my first leadership role, right? That's where it started. Where did it start with you? And then, but especially in the leadership, because one thing people don't know about you, your leadership style is one thing that I like to steal from, because you do one thing better than most. You make the people that you are dealing with, whether you're in charge of them and they got to get this done, you make them feel respected and valued and heard. And I think that's a skill that maybe comes naturally, but I think there's a lot of work goes behind it. And I think a lot of that comes from your start, correct?
Yeah. Well, thanks. Appreciate those kind words, Aaron. I'll tell you, my first coaching experience was when I was 18 years old. And I can tell you, I was not very good. I was coaching youth soccer at the time. I was an assistant coach, but it was one of those things that, like, I played soccer for a long time. It's like, those who play, like, oh, I can coach this, right? No big deal. I can go and do this. I was an assistant coach for a parent for the team, and I think it was like a under 6 team or something like that. And man, I had no idea what I was doing. Right? It's like you can take all the skills and everything that you've learned over the years. It's like, well, how do you translate the skills into the players? And it's not about skills. Yeah. It's about make sure they're having fun and make sure that they enjoy the game, and the skills will come in the progression throughout their years. Absolutely. And I kind of learned that, through the parent coach that I was with. I learned that I actually was certified to be a soccer coach at a certain level at many, many years ago. Yeah. But it's like, it's not always about the skills. It's always about, how well can they do? It was about, how's that environment? How do you create that environment that they can be able to learn and be able to grow and be able to learn the skills along the way? That's the thing that young Adam has.
That's why I'm building so much and really leaning to bring back rec. And it's, that component, because it's so important that when the recreation departments do that, because you have the opportunity to focus on winning kids rather than winning games, right? Mm-hmm. You were out there from the very beginning. And I think that mentality, I hate to say it, but I feel like we've lost a little bit through the United States because we're so focused so much on, I got to win that trophy rather than, the skills that you learn when you're a kid. And I learned, my mom almost kicked me out of the house at 7, said, there's your baseball coach, and left. And that's how I got involved with sports. But that impact was massive. So I know what you did right because I've seen it and watched it. But let me ask you a question, because there's someone out there that's a parent volunteer or a Parks and Rec person that's going, hey, they're asking me to coach, but I'm nervous. What am I going to do? What did you, I'll go first. What did you screw up the first time you coached? I know what I did. Because I had worked with John Wooden and seen it later on. But before I got to all that, I had no idea. And I just did what my coach did. So the first thing I did with the kids, I just made them run until they almost threw up. Yeah, mistake, because they didn't have fun. And then I had to literally talk to kids to come back and play. Okay, well, we'll get in shape another way. You know what I mean? Exactly. What was something you did where you're like, oh my goodness, I kind of missed the boat on that one?
I think there were 2 things that I did as young coach Adam. I focused on winning, number 1. I focus on winning. It's like, how do we win the game? How do we use the best players? And how do we make sure that they're strategically in the right place? And number 2 is it was excluding players. It did not create a team environment. And so I think that's the flip side of it, is that when you think about winning and you think about, the best players that you have on your team, like make sure that you use them, as your key pieces to make it all happen. But really your team is only as strong as everybody together, how they can be able to work together. And I think that's something that young Adam really learned, is that, and that's where I think I've got a lot of this foundation of where I work with my teams, is that it's always about the people. The skills will come. You could teach the skills as they go, but if they're not having fun, if they're not integrated, if they don't all like each other, they don't have to love each other, but you got to work together. You got to learn to be able to work together. You got to learn to be able to communicate. That was the foundation of where I've grown up. And, a lot of the things that I do now is like, you know what? It's about relationships. It's about having that. It's about counting on each other and about having fun.
Right.
It's common goals.
I love working with Coach as long as I did. He used to say almost every day, it's amazing how much can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit. Mm-hmm. And that's that team mentality. And I love that across the board. Even in my organization, I'm at the bottom of the pyramid and I'm lifting up my partners and community partners, and that's that mentality. And it's a servant mentality that I know that you have, because I've seen you even when you're sporting your red jacket walking around, but you're always trying to serve others. And I love that. Now you've been in Parks and Rec, just so people, because you look like you're, really young, but I think you're a little experienced. How long have you been in the field of Parks and Rec? Can you give us a number?
I've been in the field of Parks and Rec for 24 years.
24 years.
Okay. So 24 years. So that's how long I've been around.
And the big pull that you and I have talked about is really the servant component. But how many people get to grow up in a community and then get to work in that community in service of and give back to what they did, right? Because you got the benefit of that, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's one of the great things of what I love about what I get to be able to do. And it doesn't. There's not too many people who actually are doing that as well. Like I've met some people who've grown up in the same spot that they're continuing to work, but it's that extra motivation, right? My kids go to school here in the community. That's extra motivation right there. I can tell you, my parents still live in the original house that I grew up in.
Wow.
I'll tell you, they will tell me if I'm not doing anything right as well. as residents, as community members, they'll be like, "Hey, this is going good. Or, you know what? This wasn't so good. You might need to look at this." You know,
this is in a city council meeting and this and that, and all of a sudden your mom's up there going, "No, Adam, that's not right."
I mean, that's that motivation, right? And I think that's the part where I care about the community. I care about what we do. We got to make sure we do it right, because the kids that are in our programs are the same kids that my kids are growing up with, right? They're friends, and I'll hear it from I'll get a text or a call from them as well. Be like, "Hey, this wasn't quite right," or I get the flip side as well, which is like, "You know what? This was awesome. This was so cool. I'm so glad you guys did this. Make sure you do this again." And so, for us, it's like being part of that community, being in the community, getting the immediate feedback from people, knowing what's happening. Like, that's the part that I absolutely love about what I get to do.
Well, and again, I don't want to dive too much off script in terms of the mindset, because I do want to dig into the youth sports space, because that's what we're dealing with. But it's amazing to me. So as long as I've known you, you've been involved on some level with CPRS, California Parks and Recreation Society. And you've navigated through, and now you're president-elect. Congratulations, by the way. Got my vote. I can say that now that it's all done, right? But what do you think is the common thread that, like, okay, you're going to have to deliver, you're going to have to travel the country. I mean, travel the state, right? 14 districts, right? 12 districts. You're going to have to go out
15
and get the message. What's the common thread? Because I'll be honest, self-serving, I want more focus on Parks and Rec taking back their fields and their gyms and running more rec sports programs. That's I'm talking to the president. That's what I want to see more of that, because what's happened is we've allowed the clubs, the elites, and whatever to take over, and it's not working. If it was working, more kids would be playing sports rather than less. So I'm curious. I don't want to put you too much on the spot, but what the heck? What is your thought on that whole mindset?
You know what? And so my girls played softball. That's where we lived a lot of our lives, and they continue to do it. And, living in different worlds, you can see where the rec level is, then you can see where the travel ball is, and the highly competitive teams that are out there. Same goes for soccer in our community and so many other sports that are out there. Like, there are so many different levels. A lot of it's come down to, there's a capitalist opportunities for a lot of companies, a lot of business come in there, and there's a lot of money in sports.
Yeah,
there's a lot of money in sports, and parents aren't necessarily the ones who are stepping up to teach their kids. That's one thing that I've really been able to see, is that, they are like, I don't know a lot. They're not necessarily going out and learning or getting trained. There's all these professionals out there who have already done it. Like, go ahead, we'll pay the money to be able to make it happen. And I think that's what a lot of it happens. Like, parents are like, expectations getting higher. Parents want their kids to put things onto their college applications, resumes, or get college scholarships. And I mean, the expectations from parents, I think, is very high, which is the reason why there's a huge shift into competitive sports and that travel and paid field. But I think Parks and Rec professionals, we really want to be able to offer, the recreation level, the introduction. Like, we want the 4, 5, 6-year-olds. We want the sports to be their first opportunity to be with us. Right. Absolutely. Come try the sport. Learn a skill, meet some people. These are the teamwork opportunities. These are things you're going to learn that'll last you the rest of your life. And if you like the sport that you're doing, you know what? There's other opportunities to be able to do it. Rec leagues, let's find that. And then if you're, you want to, and you have the skills and you have the capabilities, move on to a competitive team, move on to a travel team. I think that's nice to have all those different types of levels. And I think for Parks and Rec departments, really it's about how do we get those kids introduced at those earliest levels? How do we make sure that they're having fun? Right? That the sport is the conduit to learning. The sport is the conduit to understanding that physical fitness is great, that you can go run around with your friends, that you don't need to have a nice gym. You can have the backyard with your baseball and your stick, and you can go out there and just throw things around and just have fun and just get the basics down.
And I think that, I'm a firm believer that youth sports is the finest and best opportunity for a child to develop life skills, because they're going to deal with all the different things you've talked about: resiliency, teamwork, leadership, empathy, all the other factors across the board, right? And that's what, but I believe that they have a better chance to do that in the rec space. And I love the fact that there's a kid that might be 7 that's never played before. And I tell them, if you're going to play a sport, before you go sign up for the league soccer, you better go talk to Adam in San Ramon and find out if they have a soccer clinic first. Because you learn the fundamentals first, and that child can develop confidence and understanding. I remember watching kids that came out to baseball, and my kids, now granted they're older, but when they played, they always went to a clinic or a camp first.
Yep, absolutely.
Basic foundation. Because I watched kids that came in Little League that had never played before, and they weren't even sure what hand to put the mitt on. How can you? And then it's not competitive, but you know what? When you're at bat and they're throwing the ball, you got to hit it. I mean, it's a thing, right?
Yeah. Oh, and the pressure is there. I mean, Aaron, 100% agree with you. You got to go to a clinic. You've got to do something. Parent involvement is so important. And I harp on that every single time. There's a lot of sports that are hard. Like catching a ball is hard. It's not easy. Dribbling a basketball, it's not easy. Like these are the things that you've got to be able to practice and be able to learn, and the parent support. I mean, it's a great opportunity for parents to be able to engage with your kids. Like, hey, let's go throw a ball around. Let's go dribble the ball around. Like these are the basic sorts of things that we can be able to do with our kids. And I think that's one of the great opportunities that I've been able to have. And I think that's why my connection with my kids are so strong, because we have been able to do those things together. Like I've coached their teams through softball. Granted, my kids are rec players through and through. They are not the best players, but they're out there having fun. Yeah. They're going to try their best. They're going to give their effort. But you know what? Going back to it, yes, involvement, clinics, learning how to do the sport before you jump in there, because otherwise, yes, you may be behind the ball a little bit, but it gives you that confidence, as you had said, to be able to get out there and be like, you know what? I have an idea of what we're doing, as opposed to going out there brand new and be like, I don't know where do you even put this baseball? How do I hold a bat the wrong way?
Here's first base. What do you mean you don't run to the pitcher? Yeah, I get.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's funny. One of my mom has passed, but one of my favorite memories of my mom. We had 5 kids, and to be able to have the one-on-one time with my mom, we would go down to Tam Valley School. She'd walk barefoot in a long flowing skirt, and I would shoot, and she'd rebound the ball and pass it back. And the coolest part about my mom, she never once said, get your elbow in, follow through. She just rebounded for me. And the parents that are out there that don't think that that's valuable, you're missing it, because you don't have to coach your kid. Just be engaged, right? I know I feel like I'm preaching, but that alone time with my mom, man, that was special.
100% agree. 100% agree. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to be the parent coach 100% of the time. I will tell you, just being with them is the key point. Like they want to do it. I actually have memories of throwing a baseball outside in the street with my dad. Like those are the things that we remember, right? I don't remember scoring any goals. I don't remember hitting home runs. I remember the time that I was hanging out with my dad, that he came home from work and was like, hey, you want to throw the ball around? Or I asked him, hey, you want to throw the ball around? He's like, yeah, let's go do it. Yeah. And I think those are the core memories that we really have. Is like, it's not about what we did or the accomplishments. It's about how we felt in those moments.
Yes.
Right.
And it's important that as a parent, we're watching this progress, because what's happened so much is we put so much pressure on the kids to be successful, because we're focusing on the win in the game and the score rather than the effort and the love. And it's amazing to me. I was very blessed. My kids played every sport all the way through and went on, and it was great. But I saw a lot of parents that we get to compare and think, I'm only a good parent if my child is good at things, right? I understand that maybe with reading or certain components, and you can help, but sports is different, right? I mean, it's not, your child's athletic ability is not a measure of how good of a parent you are, correct?
Yeah. And you know what? And I think that's an interesting thought, because you do see that a lot out there, right? It's like, as a parent, we're here to support. We're here to cheer them on. We want to be the biggest cheerleader. It's all about, as you said, effort. Effort's really what it is. And so it's like, if you're putting your best effort out there, go do it. Go have fun and be in the background supporting. Be positive. Right. It's so funny, because like even all players, like the parents are like, oh, keep your elbow up, or make sure that you're paying attention to this, or throw it in, or it's like, you know what? Don't worry about the details. Those will come. Worry about how they feel. Like, do they have enough confidence to step up to the plate? Not be nervous when they're getting out there. It's like, let them. They've got to be in their own mentality. Like, how resilient are they when they strike out? Like, what does that look like? It's not oh, you'll get them next time, but it's like, hey, you gave good effort. That's what matters. You saw that pitch. You know how to learn what to do next time. It's like, it's how do we move forward?
And we have to remember, this is the crazy part to me, which is cracking me up, is that most kids, by the time they get to snack bar, they don't care about the game they just played.
No.
Right? So if they don't care, we can't want it significantly more than they do. It doesn't mean we can't nudge them and help them out, but it's got to be their desire, right?
Yeah, and I think that's really the key, is that, like, you know what, our goal as coaches, parents, league administrators, make sure the kids have a good time, make sure they have fun. That's really the key point. And like, the game is meant to be fun. It's a game, right? Let's make it a game. Let's have it fun. But yeah, those snacks, man, let me tell you, game's out the window. Win or loss, I'll tell you, my rec teams, they don't know what the score is. I'll never tell them the score. Right. They're like, do we win? I'm like, I don't know. Who cares? Go get snacks. Like, there's orange slices and whatever's going on.
Well, and if you're Parks and Rec, one thing I will say that my goal, and that's, I think, why we've done so well at the National Capital Athletics in partnership with organizations like yours and cities, is we have two goals that we start with. The top goal is always safety. Mm-hmm. But the second goal, which is really close, is that they have so much fun and learn what they're doing. They want to keep doing it. That's it.
Yeah. Right? And that's what it should be. I will tell you, after every season, I ask my girls that I coach, I said, hey, who wants to come back and play again next season? And that's the measure of success for me. It's right. Like, and so I think after last season, my softball team that I coached, every single player's come back for this season. And that's really what you want, right? You want them to have a good experience. You want them to be able to know that they've progressed. They want to come back and they want to be able to do it again. That's how I measure success as a coach.
So if you're out there in Parks and Rec and you're diving into what's going on, remember that, the trophy piece and all that stuff is all cool. But realistically, like my first camp I ran with Magic Johnson, 1983 at Thousand Oaks, California, he said the number one goal was to win kids. And if we can stay in that lane, especially in the Parks and Rec, what's going to happen? Kids are going to fall in love and are going to want to keep doing it. All right, Adam, we're running across the break. When we come back, we're going to dive a little bit about some of the changes that have happened in your tenure involving youth sports. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about maybe what's missing in the youth sports space in Parks and Rec and how we can work together, either public-private partnerships or what Parks and Rec can do more to help those kids have better lives through youth sports. We'll see you guys in 2 minutes.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link. Smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs, we're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Youth Sports Mastery Show. I'm happy again to, Adam, thanks for sticking around and keep diving through with this, man. I was taking notes as I was thinking about our conversation, and later on I'm going to call you. I got some other ideas and thoughts about it too. So, hey, when we left, we were talking a little bit about the engagement of parents and trying to make this a positive experience for the kids, which I really am a big fan of in that. But I want to talk a little bit about the journey. So let's just pick the last 10 years. I know we've been through the pandemic, maybe go a little longer. What are you seeing about the differences from your side, not just in San Ramon, but obviously, you know, being a called a heavy hitter involved in CPRS and been around it, you're seeing it all over the state of California. What are you seeing as some of the differences in Parks and Recreation, particularly in the youth sports space? Are you seeing some differences and maybe some conversation points?
Yeah, I think the hardest part for park and recreation departments is like, how do we provide services? You know, we're always getting asked to do more and more with less and less resources. And I think that's really hit the youth sports area really hard, is that we don't necessarily offer all the leagues that we used to offer. We don't offer all the sports that used to be offered, right? We don't have all the camps or the clinics that have been offered over the last 10 years. I think there's been a consolidation in that. And, you know, with the pandemic, that was definitely something that happened for a lot of agencies that had to get consolidated, or a lot of budget reductions, that kind of stuff, losing staff, outsourcing or contracting a lot of things out to companies like yours, Aaron. And, you know, it just looks different, right? And I think that's really what if you look 10, 20 years ago, it was Parks and Rec departments running everything. Yeah. Right. I mean, and not just Parks and Rec, but, you know, YMCA's, like everybody's, you know, taking care of our kids, especially in the sports arena. Like that's where kids really flock to. That's where kids really focus a lot of their energy. And I think, you know, we've seen a lot of consolidation through the Parks and Rec field over the last 10 years of what can be offered because of the limited resources available.
Well, and I think what I'm finding is, how can we bring it back? Because, you know, look, let's be honest. There's no city that has all the money in the world. I don't care what other people think, right? You know what I mean? And like you say, they're literally tying your right arm behind your back, your left leg, and saying sprint, because you can only have this many staff hours, you only have this many budgets, but they want to add this. You only have this many gyms, this many park space. Do you have a great joint use agreement with your schools? Do you not? I mean, there's all these factors that go in. I'm just trying to think of, I've just seen this dissipation of recreational sports, recreational engagement. And I feel like it's such an important piece that I want to kind of, it's not enough to identify the challenge. What is the opportunity? Just so people know and may not know, and might like sound like a commercial, we work with the city of San Ramon, many other cities, to help them run sports that either they can't staff, that are either specialized or something uniquely different. There's many cities out there, and it's the public-private partnership, right? Where they say, hey, we want to run pickleball for kids, but we can't do that. But we got a court. Great. Someone like the National Academy of Athletics will come in, partner together and do that. And just so you know, what cities that I found has worked the best is the public-private partnership, where it literally is a percentage of the profit, 20, 30, 40%, whatever it is, stays with the city, and the rest is covered by the contractor. So let me ask you, what do you look for in a contractor?
Yeah. And I got to tell you, first and foremost, the contracts format that we use, as you were mentioning, the cost sharing measures, and be able to bring in people who know what they're doing, who are experts in it, makes such a huge difference for Parks and Rec, especially as there's less and less people, you know, to be able to do these types of things. And it allows us not to be able to have to go out and hire more staff. You know, that takes more staff time on the coordinators. Like it is fantastic. It works really well. I think the thing that we're looking for in contractors is people who are really educated, who really know what they're doing, who have an operational plan, like who are organized. I could tell you so many times we get people who are like, I want to teach, I want to do this. I want to offer this program.
Yeah.
Great. Well, how are you going to do it? Like, Well, I don't know really. I was like, okay, well, we got to have an idea of what we're trying to be able to do here. I mean, that is probably one of the most important things. But a focus on safety, a focus on outcomes. Like, what is it that you're going to try and do, and how are you going to do it, right? And what is that philosophy that you carry? I think one of the great things that Aaron, you've been talking about is that it's to focus on recreation, having fun, putting effort forward, and then you learn through that process, right? There's so many other areas where it's like, okay, this is just specifically skill focused. We want to get that outcome. You're like, and so they don't think about the kids in a holistic approach. And I think that's one of the detriments of having some contractors who don't really have a good understanding of what the goal is, of why Parks and Rec, why we exist. We're here for an introductory level. We're here to get recreational level, get kids introduced. We want them to love what they're doing. So that way they can be able to say, you know what, I tried this thing, I liked it, you know what? And they may not do it again, but maybe as an adult they pick it up in the future.
Right.
And so it's something that they have a good experience. They can say, I've tried this thing, and then see what happens in the future.
And they enjoy it. And, the thing I found, I played competitive basketball until I was 52, and my body said, knock it off, right? Which I get. But falling in love with playing and competing and doing that, because it really helps them be successful in the real game, which is life, right? All those things we're talking about across the board. With the leadership that I'm seeing, with you guys having so many, I mean, I don't think people realize what is your title at your day job? What is your actual?
I'm a recreation supervisor here.
So recreation supervisor. So would you give some people that may not know what, because like there's recreation managers, there's supervisors, there's coordinators. Would you give a little of the lay of land on that? Because I don't think people realize just what you all do, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, in our agency, and every agency is a little bit different. We have recreation coordinators who are really the programming experts. They're the ones who are out there figuring out what classes that should be offered, what are the current trends, what does the community want, getting feedback from everybody. They're the day-to-day boots on the ground, trying to figure out what classes and programs that we should be offering and how do we do it. Yeah. And the supervisors like myself, we're the strategic people. We try and help support them. We try and be able to say, okay, what resources do we need? How do we need to do that? Does that make sense? And we're the ones who are asking the questions. We're the ones who are like, okay, are we doing this the right way? Kind of double checking. And I'm involved in programming significantly. So the two of us are really the ones who are looking at it. On top of that, you have your recreation managers and your directors who are looking at the big picture of a department.
So. But again, when you're a recreation supervisor, do you deal with from youth sports to swimming, aquatics, to seniors to pickleball? I mean, like, what is the scope? Because I think the smaller the municipality, the more bandwidth a supervisor has to have, right?
Oh, absolutely. And there's small agencies that don't even have quarters, that only have like 2 people in them. Like there are agencies that, I mean, obviously depending on the size and scope of your community, it definitely depends. I mean, I could tell you, we have some small communities here in Contra Costa County that have, 1, 2, 3 people in them. And then our department is 32 people. And so it all kind of depends. But for myself, I currently oversee arts and marketing, but I did oversee at one point summer camps, youth sports, and youth programs all at the same time. And fortunately for us, our coordinators can focus on, we have a coordinator that just oversees youth and adult sports, which in itself is a lot. Number of programs. So we have one person that does that. We got one person, we have a lot of people who have one specific program area. But really, it means that there's one person who has to oversee all these programs. That run the gamut from leagues to clinics to classes. I want to say we offer probably 40 different sports summer camps. Wow. And that's just the titles. That's not the number of weeks and offerings, but that's the variety of programs that we get to offer. And this one person gets to work with a number of contractors. I'm going to say 20 some odd contractors to be able to coordinate, schedule, get the fields, make sure we got the right mix, and make sure that it's what the community wants and needs.
Yeah, what I like when I work with the cities a lot is that the ones that aren't afraid to fail, they're the ones that succeed. There's some that are so afraid. Well, we know basketball is very popular, but we're just going to do 1 week for this. And I'm like, okay, but if you've got 1,200 kids in your basketball league, let's do 1 June, 1 July, 1 August, if you have the space, right? But there's others that are so fearful of it, and then and it gets crazy. I'm also going to tell you one thing I would love is the as a contractor, when we work with the community partners in cities, we do struggle at times getting information. Some cities have a hard time, whether it's Civic Rec or Active or whatever you use, Perfect Mind or whatever it is, because it's so important for us to truly be a community partner. Because what people got to realize, and that's what I love, you trust us because you know if I'm out there, my brand and your brand, right? That's what's out there, and people are going to count on the quality of the product. And I tell everybody, it's not hard to develop trust, but it's really easy to lose trust, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's actually a really good point, is that when we say we're offering a program, so the city of San Ramon offers programs and we partner with you, National Academy Athletics, people will go to that program and they think it is a city of San Ramon program. They will 100%. So as a programmer, as a park and rec professional, like, we have to be able to trust you. We have to be able to partner in this. Like, we're both in this together. We got to make sure that these programs are good because we want to make sure they come back for another round with you or with us in another sense. But it is our brand, right? It is the city of San Ramon Parks and Rec Department. Like, this is what they do. And if it doesn't go well, I can tell you, those moms and dads will talk to each other. They will put it on social media and put you on blast if it's not right. And hopefully on the flip side, if it's something that's going well, they'll also put it on blast and tell their friends and bring it on the other side.
I remember working with Greg Coleman from the city of Napa. And when we first started, and he was like, well, why would we bring you? And we do that. And I said, I got it. So then we talked a little bit further, and he goes, but I have to do this and this. So if you guys could do, it was almost like Stone Soup, where we kind of came up with the model. We started with like 6 summer camps. And by the end of the run, we were running every sports camp for them all summer long. And it was super easy. Now, again, Napa is different than San Ramon, different, San Diego, whatever cities. But again, the same concept, because he was able to use his resources in another area, and we were able to bring in the college kids and whatnot under us, and it was so much easier. Plus, what Greg always said is, you know what, Aaron, I'm running 14 different sports with you, and if there's a problem, I'm coming to you instead of having to chase them down. So there are some advantages to that as well, right?
I mean, absolutely. I will tell you, having been in that seat, like, yes, like, you do want that one contact, and if they're doing well, then you want to keep it going really well. And if it's not going well, then we talk about it. But the one thing I was going to mention too is that you had brought up earlier is, when things are going good and how do we know what's going well? We use a lot of data, right? And so, like, your access to information and how do you see who's coming back? What's the repeat rates on that? Are they going to other programs? So that's what we see in the bigger picture. Right. We have age range demographics, like, what is the most popular age? And are we not hitting the younger kids? And I think that's something that we're seeing right now, is that we got the little bubble in the age ranges right now, because some kids were not there's fewer births now. And so we're seeing those bubbles and like, okay, well, we have fewer kids coming through programs. So using that data is so important to be able to help figure out what those trends are, what we need to offer, how we do it, and working together to figure that out on both sides, is such a huge benefit for both of us.
Yeah. And again, what I love about what we get to do, it's truly, and it's a love fest, but it's a win-win-win. The city of San Ramon win, the community wins, we win. I mean, where else can you have a win-win-win? I mean, it's pretty cool stuff. So let me ask you about youth sports. So you coached rec for your daughters, softball, soccer, and you've been through it. But you've also kind of stepped to what they say the dark side, right? Now, I refereed for 16 seasons. I refereed the NCAA and all that. I didn't get to do a lot of rec ball because, once you're in that funnel, they take you back in the day. But let me ask you, so you're umpiring softball.
Yep. So
how did you get into that?
So my girls have played softball for, I don't even know, last, 10 years, almost 10 years, I guess. But what's one of the great things that, like, I just love being involved in the process, right? As a coach, you get involved in the process, you get involved with the kids, you like seeing them progress. It's the best thing of being a coach is seeing where they're at the beginning of the season, where they're at the end of the season, and the progression that they're able to make through the effort, through the learning, through their commitment, see where that team is at. And so this year, my daughter moved into the middle school division. It's something that she's like, no, you know what? I'm going to step back right now. I'm not going to play this year. And I said, okay, that's totally fine. And I was like, you know what? My other daughter is an umpire. She's been umpiring for several years. And I was like, you know what? I can help out the softball league, right? You're always looking for umpires. Going from a coach to an umpire, though, is a whole different world. Let me tell you. I will have to say I'm fortunate because I am, coach. I am umpiring in a recreation league. I know a lot of the coaches. I've been around, so they're all very friendly. The parents are all, for the most part, pretty good.
Yeah.
But it is an entirely different world. And as an umpire, you can hear everything behind you. As a coach, you don't hear like the parents a lot because you're with the kids so much. But yeah, as an umpire, you hear a lot of things behind you.
You sure do. When I was refereeing, it's one of those things where you want to hear everything because you want to know what it affects, but only respond to something that is going to have an impact on the game, right? That's
yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So, have you had a chance to referee or umpire with your daughter?
I do, and so that's what for the most part, I get to umpire with my daughter, and it's an opportunity for us to be able to do something together. As you can tell, I like to do things with my kids, right? It's like be an engaged parent. I think it's obviously, I think it's so important. That's where I come in. So
I love that idea, that to get out there and do that. That's really cool. I remember when my son was 14, he was coming up to the refereeing side, and we had a referee camp. I do referee training camps, and we brought him in. He refereed a varsity basketball game, and it was really cool. 14 years old, you know what I mean? And he was out there just doing it. He could have been really good. He got caught up with playing so much he didn't have time to do that. But I keep telling him, man, he's when they know the game. But you know what people don't realize, for the kids, if they umpire, it makes them a better player because they understand the ins and outs.
Mm-hmm.
Empathetic. But as an umpire, okay, now we're going to talk about the parents, right? Okay, so what's going on? That we got to call it out. If you're a youth sports parent, you're out there. If you're a work in the space, if you have a day job, if you don't, whatever it is, and your kids play sports, we have a responsibility as a parent to act a certain way, to do things a certain way. We're not going to try to lecture you, but I want it to come from Adam in terms of the expectations and the mindset of people that play in your league. But I also want to hear about what you expect as a coach, youth coach. I also want you to talk from the perspective of now that you're umpiring, please.
Man. Well, I would say first, as a coach, I was always telling my parents, always positive. We're not going to say anything negative. It's all about the kids, because the kids are going to reflect what you ask them to do and how you respond to situations. They're going to see it. Like, do you want your kid to hear you yelling at somebody else because they might have done something wrong?
Right.
Like, I'm sure the kids that's the same kids at home who are getting yelled at because they struck out or because they did something incorrectly. It's like, we want to support our kids, right? And that's what sports is a good opportunity for them to be able to test it on their own without us. Without, the parents, like, hey, go out, do your thing and make things happen. Like, I'll engage with you and I'll make things happen on the back end. But when you're on that field, it's the kids, man. They're performing. As a coach, you always say that. You're like, I can only coach during practice and I'll coach, but during the game, you guys are doing your thing. Right. And so I think as a parent, like, just be supportive, be happy, be excited for them, cheer everybody on. When somebody else on the other team makes a good play, cheer that on. Like, say, yeah, you know what? And your kids see that, they will emulate that as well. You want people to grow up as good sports. You want to see that stuff. Right. So that's my first and foremost about parents on the background as a coach. But I
just want to throw one more thing in there.
Yeah.
I heard this a long time back, and I keep repeating it, but I just want to throw out there. Kids, especially now, are way more in need of role models than critics.
Absolutely.
And remember, when we as a parent start yelling at the officials or the coaches, for God's sake, what ends up happening is we're literally giving an excuse to the kids to blame somebody else instead of hold themselves accountable, right?
And I was exactly right. You're 100% right. So as an umpire, this just happened last week. Like, balls and strikes. I'm calling balls and strikes. It was a strike, bottom outside corner. It was a strike. Kid looks at me, looks back at the parent. The parent's like, and the parent starts complaining, be like, oh, that was outside. And so the kid has no accountability in regards to what happened. It's like, oh, I'm going to blame somebody else. Like, no, you got to know that if that ball's going to be close to the strike zone, you got to be swinging anyways.
Yeah, right.
Like, why are you going to wait for the umpire to make a call? Like, if you can't make things happen and you're going to blame it on somebody else, then that's poor parenting and poor coaching.
You know what else? You think about that, parents, that you took away an opportunity for your child to fail, learn, and grow with individual accountability by you wanting to protect your child because the umpire screwed up. Even if it wasn't a strike, I don't know, life's not fair. Maybe that's part of the lesson they needed to learn right then, right?
Exactly. And I think that's actually one of the best things about sports is learning when you fail. right? Like, you know what? I made an error. I didn't get the throw. I couldn't pick up the ball off the ground, right? I struck out, or I was struck out looking. You know what? It's okay. I dropped the ball. You know what? What do you do next? I've seen so many kids start pouting, blaming somebody else. It's not that, you know what? My bad. I'll get it next time. I got you guys.
Yeah.
Right. And so you see that, like, look at the college softball players. 100% every single time. That is one of the best examples of what I love to see. Yeah. They are, you know what? That's on me. I got you guys. I've got your back 100%.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we need to teach, and that's what we need to coach these girls. It's that resiliency. How do you bounce back?
So as a Parks and Recreation, the ones we work with when we're in leagues particularly, we do a parent orientation. We talk about expectations and the importance of it. I met with a group on Sideline Sports, which is really interesting. I'm going to be introducing that out soon too. But it just talked about the culture that is set. In Parks and Rec, the culture is, if it's truly, which I know that it is in San Ramon, if it's truly about enjoyment of the game, learning, having fun, and those things, then the score should not matter. Then the parents, we just got to let that go. We got to not worry about the outcome of the game and just watch our child to have a positive experience, right? From the parent standpoint. From the umpire standpoint, I got to imagine, because you're right, you hear everything. So are you getting, because what I do with every team I had, and this is maybe before their time, didn't matter what it was, when the game was over, they went over and said, "Thank you, umpire. Thank you, ref." Is that happening?
Yeah, it does happen on a regular basis. So, and I think that's just good coaching. It's just good. Yeah. And it doesn't happen with every team, but it's good coaching. So, like, you know what? You got to understand and respect everybody who's helped make this happen, right? And that's one, good coaching, good parenting. Like, hey, you know what? Understand what happens and what goes on around you.
The guys I met with yesterday said there's a chant that they have in some leagues when anybody yells at the official, "No ref, no game," and it shuts people up really quick. There's even a yellow card system, which I really like for parents too. Just, why should we have to get to this insanity place? But this is where it's at, and people want the best for their kids. But I'm just saying, in the Parks and Rec, we provide, whether we run it, you run it together, whatever it is, in the rec space, with the mentality being enjoyment and love of the game and development rather than who gets the trophy. That space seems to be really cool. One league we run up in Reno, which I love, is we have 3 people that manage a basketball game. And one coaches one team, one coaches the other one's the referee. And they have the score clicker on their hand. So there's no scorekeepers. It's all just it's rec ball. And they keep track. They made a bucket, made this, whatever it is. The next game, the referee is now coaching one team, the other coach coaching the other, and the other one. So there's a rotation of 3 people. And what ends up happening, we have so much less crap, because everybody looks and is like, well, I can't yell at that guy because he's going to be coaching my kid. I mean, it's just like this. It's a 3-card Monte, but it's working out so well, truly in the mindset of rec. Right?
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah.
So we're coming up against it. I want to ask you, so if you're the czar of programming for kids sports for the next 90 days, give me a couple of things. I know it's summer camp. What would you see for things that would be good tips for people that are involved in youth sports, managing from the rec level, that we should remind people of?
You know what? Really, when you're putting in youth sports programs, you've got to have good people. You've got to have good people. And I know you know this really well, but you got to have people who are passionate and who want to be there, right? Because the kids see it, they feel it, they feed off that energy. If you can get them excited, right? Getting those hands in, you know what? Pumping people up when they do something good. Even when they do something bad, you got to pump them up. Be like, yeah, let's go. You got to find the right people, and you got to make sure that those right people, you train them well so they know what they're doing. Get them out there and just get those kids to have fun. It's all about people, and the skills and the sports. Everything else is just a conduit to make sure that these kids, understand and have good relationships with each other, with the sport, with their coaches.
Love that. And what would you say of those that are like, okay, wait, I've never really thought of contracting before, but obviously, it's worked for us for 12, 14 years. What would you say to them about, of course, call National Camp Athletics, because we can help. No, but what would you suggest is a way that would be, if they're going to dive into it, like where would they start in that process? What do you think?
Yeah, I think really it's about figuring out what it is that you want and what you need, right? I think first and foremost, what are the gaps and services that are happening in your community? Are you missing recreation sports? Are you missing certain sports at all, because there's there's new sports coming on board all the time. I can tell you, cricket is very popular in our community, and we've worked with them to make sure that we have opportunities for recreational cricket. Like, it's different sorts of things. But that's where you got to start. Look for those gaps, and then try and find the right people. You know what? And that's really what it comes down to. Find people who are passionate, find people who are organized and know what they're doing. Right. Second of all, and then just make sure that you have a good partnership. You have a good open line of communication. Say, hey, this is what we need. This is what's going on. And then keep continuing to work together to build that relationship.
And if you're not able to run it in-house, reach out, whether my organization or other organizations, see what you can potentially do. I'm telling you, when we come together and work together towards a common goal, it rocks and rolls. But you know what happens? It becomes more enjoyable. Look where we're going from there.
Absolutely.
So, by the end of your career, now that you're kind of, you're where you're at in your role and being the president-elect for CPRS, what is your mindset of when you walk away from this? Like, for me, I want millions and millions and millions of kids to have a better life through sports because I was here. What is it that you want when you exit out of this journey? What do you want?
For me, it's really, and this has been something I've been thinking about, coming into the later part of my career and looking off to, like, what's next, right? And so what have we done in our careers? And I know, Aaron, you've looked at this for a long time. It's like, look at all these kids, look at all these people who have grown up, who have gone on, and it's about those opportunities we provide to other people, right? And it's about what benefits have we provided to the staff that are around us? Are they better people for the contributions that we've been able to do? Have we provided the opportunities? Have we provided the environment that can be able to make people grow, thrive, and get better? So I think for me, it's really about the relationships and the people. Make sure that I've created a good environment that can live on and can last, longer than when I've been here. That attitude, those, the vision, the ideas of how we can move forward. Make sure that we're staying positive. Make sure that we're having fun, and then make sure that we're all moving towards that common goal.
Love it. If someone wants to get in touch with you, Adam, LinkedIn's probably the best, or what would be the best way to get
LinkedIn? I just started my LinkedIn, so that's a good way to get a hold of me.
There you go. All right. Hey, I appreciate, the friendship, the support you've given us the years, the partnership, the working together, and really good tips today and the conversation. I want to wish you the best as the new El Presidente that's coming up. If I can be of any service and help, obviously let me know. For those of the rest of you out there that are just kind of going, what the heck just happened? Remember, you can catch us on streaming on YouTube and all the different channels and all the different socials. Catch up with us through the National Academy of Athletics. Go to the website, whatever you need. And remember, always when you're out there, whether it's your staff or coaching kids, remind everybody you work with, please remind them to play hard and have fun. Thanks, Adam. We'll see you down the road. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom-branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.